Many thanks for staying with us. Well, it's heartbreak for the citizens, and Ayo will be telling us why on Sports News.
Yes, indeed, Melinda, it's heartbreak for the citizens as Manchester City's hopes of defending their English Premier League title has been dealt another blow after playing the 2-2 draw with Newcastle United at St James's Park. Now, Crystal Palace beat Burnley 2-0 at Turf Moor, while West Ham stunned Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, beating the Blues 1-0 courtesy of a goal from Aaron Cresswell in the 48th minute. European champions and league leaders Liverpool held on for a 2-1 victory over Brighton at Anfield after being reduced to 10 men. Netherlands centre-back Virgil van Dijk scored a brace in the keenly contested encounter. Tottenham Hotspur made it 3 wins out of 3 under manager Jose Mourinho with a hard-fought 3-2 victory over Bournemouth FC. Southampton battled from a goal down to beat Watford 2-1 at St Mary's Stadium. Arsenal caretaker Freddie Ljungberg says it is a great honour to lead the club following Unai Emery's departure. Ljungberg, who will be in charge when the Gunners face Norwich at Carrow Road in the English Premier League, has played down talk of taking the job on a permanent basis. The Swede, who was Emery's assistant, was put in interim charge of the Gunners on Friday morning after the Spaniard was sacked. Now, the search for Emery's full-time replacement has begun, but it is understood that the club will not rush an appointment. Such is their faith in their former midfielder, Freddie Ljungberg. In table tennis, Quadri has crashed out of the ITTF Men's World Cup in China after losing by 4 games to 1 against the Japanese teenager Tomokazu Harimoto in the round of 16. Quadri was beaten 11-7, 13-11, 12-10, 6-11, 11-6 in the last 8 clash played on table 2 at the Sichuan Gymnasium. The 31-year-old Nigerian was a late replacement that is, for the injured Wang Chun-ting, who pulled out of the tournament with an ankle injury. He won 1 and lost 1 in his group stage campaign. In motorsports, 6-time world champion Lewis Hamilton put his title-winning Mercedes back on pole position for the season-ending Abu Dhabi Formula One Grand Prix. Hamilton has won 4 times previously at the Yas Marina circuit and is chasing his 11th victory of the season to end the campaign, just 7 off Michael Schumacher's all-time record of 91. Teammate Valtteri Bottas qualified second, but will start at the back of the Grand Prix due to engine penalties, meaning that Red Bull's Max Verstappen will join the Briton on the front row race. That's a wrap in sports news. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Belinda is back to you.
Many thanks, Ayo. The Democratic Republic of Congo's army says it has killed a rebel leader in the country's northeast, hours after attackers killed at least 13 people in the restive region. The announcement came as the area reels from a string of recent attacks that have killed scores of people over the past month, prompting angry protests this week by residents accusing local and international forces of failing to protect them. Eastern DRC has long been afflicted by violence, with a number of armed groups operating across the region. The situation has gotten worse in recent years, causing mass displacement, while the increase in violence has complicated efforts to end the country's current Ebola outbreak, which has killed more than 2,000 people since erupting in the eastern North Kivu and Ituri province in August 2018. North Korea has taken a swipe at Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, accusing him of mislabeling its latest weapons test. Mr. Abe condemned the North for conducting repeated launches of ballistic missiles after 2 projectiles were fired on Thursday, calling it a serious defiance to Japan and the international community. But the North insisted that it was testing a super-large multiple rocket launcher. On Saturday, state media said Japan may see what a real ballistic missile is in the not-distant future. North Korea is banned from firing ballistic missiles under the UN Security Council resolutions. One of the people stabbed to death in Friday's attack in London Bridge has been named as University of Cambridge graduate Jack Merritt. He was one of the two people killed when 28-year-old Usman Khan launched the attack at the Cambridge University Conference on Prisoner Rehabilitation. Khan, who had been jailed over a terror plot, was shot dead by police after members of the public restrained him.
The man responsible for a knife attack at London Bridge was known to the authorities, having been convicted for terrorism offences in 2012. Usman Khan was released from prison on licence in December 2018. As part of his release conditions, the 28-year-old was obliged to take part in the government's Desistance and Disengagement programme, the purpose of which is the rehabilitation of people who have been involved in terrorism. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says people convicted of terrorism offences should not be allowed out of prison early.
We say in the manifesto that we want to toughen up sentences for serious and violent offences, and I've said for a long time now that I think the practice of automatic early release, where you cut a sentence in half and let really serious violent offenders out early, simply isn't working, and I think you've had some very good evidence of how that isn't working, I'm afraid, with this case.
The attack began at almost 2 p.m. on Friday at Fishmongers Hall at the north end of London Bridge at a Cambridge University conference on prisoner rehabilitation. The Learning Together scheme allows university students and prisoners to study alongside each other. Khan had been one of dozens of people at the event. The attack is understood to have started inside the building before continuing on to London Bridge itself, where Khan was shot by armed officers. A man and a woman were killed and 3 others were injured in the attack. Police are carrying out a search believed to be linked to the attack at flats in Stafford, close to the town centre. London Bridge was the scene of another attack on June 3, 2017, in which 8 people were killed and many others were injured. This latest attack comes after the UK's terrorism threat level was downgraded on November 4 from severe to substantial, meaning that attacks were thought to be likely rather than highly likely.
And the main news again. The candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the Kogi West senatorial election, Mr. Smart Adeyemi, emerged winner, polling 88,373 votes to defeat Dino Milaye of the People's Democratic Party, who polled 62,133 votes. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.